Well, good morning and welcome to Wake Up in the Word. We are in Psalm 142 today. Grab your Bible, a cup of coffee, and join me for just a few minutes. Mm. We're looking at a beautiful psalm that is subtitled A Psalm or a Maskil of David when he was in the cave. Now, David had a couple different cave experiences. We don't know which one this is, but the last two words then say a prayer. So this psalm is subtitled as a prayer. Of course, many of the songs we sing are just that. They are prayers. And this one today is a beautiful expression of David in a difficult place. It's what we call a prayer from the hiding place. A prayer from the hiding place. Here from this very difficult situation, we see David as four different kinds of men. We see him first as a distressed man, secondly, a desperate man, but then thirdly, a discerning man who finally becomes a delivered man. So, looking at that particular outline over this psalm, it really sets it up so much as a psalm for us today, a prayer to pray. I could talk about what all this meant to David and make it all about that time period, but actually, this one applies very much to many of us who are around the world today dealing with the problems associated with COVID 19. Because for many of us, we feel like we're hiding out in a cave, sometimes against our own will, because the government has said you've got to stay there. You can't go to your job. You can't go to school. You can't do blah, blah, blah. And so for a lot of us, we are just stuck. And we feel very much like David did in his circumstance. And all we can do is cry out to the Lord. Well, you know what, my friends? That might be the best thing you and I could do. So let's read this psalm together. He says, I cry aloud to the Lord. I lift up my voice to the Lord for mercy. I pour out my complaint before him. Before him, I tell my trouble. Friends, you need to whine about something. God will listen. Doesn't mean he's going to punish you because of you sharing how you feel. No, listen, God's your ideal sounding board. Talk to him about it. There are some people you can't really grumble to, but the Lord is not one of those. He will listen to your complaints day in and day out. Verse 3 When my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who know my way. In the path where I walk, men have hidden a snare for me. I look to my right and see no one is concerned for me. I have no refuge. No one cares for my life. It's amazing that in the midst of this COVID 19 epidemic, one of the things that's striking us, perhaps even harder than the virus itself, is the feeling of loneliness and despair and depression that creeps upon a number of people as they find themselves trapped and seemingly have no way out. It can end up in all kinds of mental illness, alcoholism, drug addiction, even suicide. And so you have to have somewhere to go. My friends, listen, if you're one of those folks trapped in the places that you can't escape from, there is a place you can go. You can go into the very throne room of God. You can go into his presence and commune with him and connect with him, and it'll give you the opportunity to keep your sanity through this situation. You know, for many folks, you don't have it as good as we do. Now, I'm in South Carolina, which although we've had a number of COVID cases, we have a government that is very much considerate of its people and trying to say, hey, we realize that you need to get out and do some things. And if you can do that with social distancing, we understand that getting out in the sunshine is good for you, that we don't want to overly restrict some of the things you need to do to survive. We want to kind of have some balance there. We realize some people are going to catch COVID 19. We're going to lose people. Lives will be lost. But we also have a balance to look at to make sure we don't lose everything else in the process of trying to fight COVID 19. I like the balance our state has put in place to deal with it. Others, we've got some friends in Maine, for example, who say, hey, their governor has really locked them down with just over a million people. They've had a little over 1,000 COVID 19 cases to this point when I'm making this video, and they've had some deaths. But they said, hey, no, you can't do anything. The whole state is shut down. Churches are shut down, not shut down here. We'll be having drive-in church again Sunday, and we do have some things where you can socially distant, and we've had no one come up with COVID-19 because of those. So life to some degree is still progressing here, but there they've said, hotels, we won't even allow you to take reservations through the end of the summer. We won't even allow any camp to consider opening, and businesses, you are shut down. And so the question is, could it be that the solution, the cure for stopping the spread of COVID-19 might be worse than the disease in itself? And how do we measure those type of things? Well, as you look into this, here's the feeling that some people get when you lock them away. And for some of you that may be, especially in a large city, and you can only stay in an apartment, and you're told you can't even go to the park. You might can run some places, but get back in your little apartment, your little flat, and stay trapped there. It can cause some really desperate feelings to come to the surface. And here is where David is stuck in a cave, and he has a similar kind of feeling popping up in him. I see that no one is concerned for me, he says. I have no refuge. No one cares for my life. When you start feeling this kind of despair, it can drive you to some depths you do not want to experience. So listen, friend, if you find yourself in one of those positions, cry out to the Lord, tell him all about it. Matter of fact, in verse 5, David says that's exactly what he did. I cry to you, O Lord. I say, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Well, there wasn't much life from the appearance of the inside of that cave, but he's looking past the cave. He's looking past the circumstances that he's in and recognizes that there is a land of the living out there, and he is a part of it even while he's trapped. Verse 6, listen to my cry, for I am in desperate need. Rescue me from those who pursue me, for they are too strong for me. At one point, before we get this last verse, David has to recognize that he's outnumbered. He has to recognize that the enemy has more strength than he does. It's good to recognize and not be flippant about a disease that is stronger than your body, that might destroy your immune system or that might kill you. You need to take things seriously. So whoever the enemy may be, whether the enemy is an army or the enemy is a pandemic, it's good to recognize it. And that's what David did. He said, set me, in this particular case, set me up with the realization of what is going on. So he says, rescue me from those who are pursuing me. They are too strong for me. But then in verse 7, from the cave now, he has not been delivered yet. But from the cave, we have the vision of a delivered man. When he says, set me free from my prison that I may praise your name. Then the righteous will gather about me because of your goodness to me. Set me free. And so it's a good prayer to pray, realizing that as David prayed this, still in hiding, still confined, still could not experience that freedom, he could ask for it, and in faith look forward to the day that God would release him and allow him to experience the freedom that he longed for. I think that's the prayer a lot of us would like to pray today. So I'll pray it with you. And Lord, allow us to look forward in faith to the day in which we have the freedom for which you made us, the freedom that you know we need to experience to have all your fullness in our life. And in the meantime, as you're praying for yourself to get through this, pray for those folks that are in our governments, the leaders that God has placed here for our benefit, for our good. And whether you like the political party they're affiliated with or not, that doesn't matter. You better pray for them. They make the right decisions during this time because it affects all of us, doesn't it? That's something we can do that's positive and point us in faith toward the future. Well, God bless you. You have a great day in the Lord. I'll see you again tomorrow right here as we wake up